We narrow our security matters to finding the Chibok girls. Joining us is Olatubosun Abalawa. He's a security consultant. Good to have you this morning.
Good morning.
A whole lot of talk making the rounds about the possible release of the Chibok girls. Does that news sit pretty well with you, knowing full well that there's also the talks of amnesty as well as a give and take between the terror group and the Nigerian government?
Okay. First of all, let me just say it's a welcome development. I think in the last 2 years, I've been in the same studio to encourage the federal government to try and look at the options of negotiation. Negotiation is a key part of any form of conflict anywhere in the world. While the conflict is going on, there is room, and there should be room created for negotiation. To end the conflict, there is need, and there should be room for negotiation. Going by the simple definition of negotiation, then one says it's a discussion aimed at reaching an agreement, one. Another one says bargaining, give and take, like you rightly said, process between two or more parties. Now we've tried every other options in Nigeria to bring this to a close. And it's beginning to look as if increasingly the terrorist group is bringing us from our stand to our knee, from our knee to the underground. I want to applaud the recent efforts of the federal government in offensive, but I must also be quick to say that guns, gunpowders, and mortar is not always the best and the only way of resolving conflicts. So the type of negotiation that is going on or that is about to be initiated at the moment is a welcome development. It is far, far better than loss of lives and properties every day at the rate at which we're having it in Nigeria. And anything that is worth doing at all is worth doing well. So I will still want to urge the federal government so that we don't come back in a circle to the same spot, to please ensure that every process that needs to be put in place, every step and every measure that needs to be put in place for this negotiation to lead to something more positive should please be ensured right from the onset.
Mr. Olatubosun, let me just take you back a bit to 2014. When there was that ceasefire, the news of the ceasefire, and then it turns out that it was all a farce. At the end of the day, there's that question of who are the leaders of the Boko Haram insurgents? Who is the federal government going to be negotiating with?
Okay.
Has that been sorted out? Or do you think it's one of the things that has been settled before this negotiations begin?
All right, then. I wouldn't know what is transpiring up there, but there's one point I've always made, that anything that is worth doing at all is worth doing well. If a robust analyst is not put in place before we start talking about negotiation or to talk of going into it, then we may end up negotiating with the 419 aspect of Boko Haram, when some guy from Australia will come and tell us things, and another guy from Niger Republic will come, will tell us things, and we start jumping about and spending millions, billions of naira, only to discover that it's all false. I wouldn't want to say it's all false. There could be an element of truth, but there's something I want us to know about the current level of insurgency and insecurity we have in the area of terrorism. We've left it to linger for too long. It's like a cancer that has spread. And if you're going to save the life of somebody whose cancer has been spread, I'm not saying that it's not possible. All I'm just trying to say is that there is more to be done. There should be a commission looking into this. There should be a circle of analysts. There is nobody in the world where they want to end conflict or end war that they will not bring specialists on board to, one, translate when yes supposed to be yes or when no supposed to be no. And when yes does not actually mean yes and when no does not actually mean no. All these are the prerequisite of things we need to put in place to know whether this negotiation is something that is worth going into or this negotiation is not going to take place and we'll pursue alternative course of action.
Talking about alternatives now, we also have to talk about, we always talk about Chibok girls, but for some others, they think that we should be talking about others that have not been put into perspective. Don't forget that we have seen in the news so many women and children that have also been kidnapped. Shouldn't the federal government be asking questions as to how many of these people are we talking about when we are negotiating with a terror group? Are they mainly the Chibok girls or women and children that were taken from Nigeria's northeast during this insurgency?
I totally agree with you, and I've stopped counting since after the Chibok girls. I think before the Chibok or after the Chibok girls kidnapped, there was a story that they went into a barrack in Bali and carted away 52 wives and children of military officers who are out there fighting, knowing fully well that their men are out there. Now, when you want to deal with this kind of matter in a situation in a very robust matter, accountability is one thing that is very, very important. As a government, you must be able to prove to Nigeria that they are not just a mere figure. And that's why I want to agree with the school of thought of the people that are saying that we shouldn't be looking at just the Chibok girls alone. The Chibok girls kidnap is an unfortunate incident that has brought not only Nigeria but the world to their knees. And that is what the terrorists want. They want to do something that will make the whole world say, yeah, these are worse than Al-Qaeda, these are worse than the Taliban, or whatever they want to call themselves. So they've achieved their aims, and they are not an authorized organization. Those of us that will call ourselves an authority, whom they are running from, who has the power, the power to go after them, the power to negotiate with them, the power to bring this to a close or to an end, should try and get ourselves a little bit more organized. Can anybody in the government out there today tell me exactly how many lives, and even the dead, a parent of a dead Chibok girls will be happy to exhume and give their children a befitting burial to bring the matter to a proper closure. The situation has brought disaster into some families. Some father have died, and the breadwinner of that family is gone. So what I want to suggest to the federal government is that don't just look at one single issue, like you rightly say. Let us look at an holistic approach. Don't let us rush into negotiation. Let us have lists and bullet points of what we want to present to the terrorist group.
What do you think should be on that list? What should the federal government be looking to present to them to reach a truce?
One of the first things I am very, very worried about is that if we ask Boko Haram to cease fire, that does not necessarily translate that other terrorist group will not rename themselves and come up. So there must be a total agreement, not only that Boko Haram will tell us that we are putting down our arms, we have 20 AK-47, this is it, and everything. No. They should also be willing to come back to be part of Nigeria to help the federal government to deal with other type of related insecurity. That must be part of the deal. Two, there must be accountability. You must be able to come out and tell us, out of the Chibok girls, how many of them are alive, how many of them are dead, how many of them are pregnant, how many of them has contracted HIVs, how many of them has been a victim of friendly fire while the armies were invading the forest where you are. They may not know this because of their level of education or their level of organization, but somebody actually needs to present a blueprint that, okay, on this term, if we need to write it in Arabic, in Hausa language, or in English, pass it on to them and tell them, go to the table and work with your people.